Hello everyone. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment saying where you're from and when you watched. That way, YouTube will continue to show you stories like this. Now, let's get started. Michael came to my house the next afternoon. As soon as I told him the details of how the voice had approached my bedroom door, he frowned, his face showing his tension. Michael was no longer joking like he usually did when we chatted about ghost stories. He brought a small bag containing salt, candles, and an old book containing exorcism rituals that he had collected from various sources. I had never believed in these rituals, but at this point, I had no choice. Together we sprinkled salt around the house again, this time thicker and more tightly. Michael also placed a few white candles in the corners of the living room, both for illumination and to create a spiritual protective circle, as he had said. As the candlelight flickered on the wall, I felt somewhat reassured, but there was still a lingering worry that this was not enough to stop the entity. As night fell, we sat in the living room, the candlelight reflecting on both of our tense faces. The clock struck 12. The atmosphere became heavy and suffocating. At first, there was only the sound of the wind blowing through the trees. Then, once again, the familiar voice rang out. This time, it was not just calling my name, but also uttering words that sounded like pleading. The voice sounded exactly like my mother's, making my heart ache, as if she really was out there, lost in the dark. Michael put his hand on my shoulder, his eyes determined. He shook his head slightly, signaling that I could not answer. I bit my lip until it bled, trying to suppress the urge to jump up and run outside. The voice continued to ring out, getting closer and closer. I could clearly hear the sound of footsteps on the dry leaves, the rustling sound gradually spreading to the main door. Then suddenly, a knock sounded, slow and steady. The knock echoed through the wood, making every nerve in me tense like a guitar string. Michael whispered a few passages from the notebook, his voice trembling but determined. The candle in front of us suddenly flared up, then flickered as if it was about to go out. I clearly heard a soft laugh coming from outside, but it was no longer my mother's voice. The sound was distorted, creepy, like dozens of voices overlapping each other, creating a strange sound that gave me goosebumps. I trembled, unable to keep my composure. I almost jumped up, but Michael held my hand tightly. He shouted, telling me not to leave the candle circle. At that moment, I saw a figure pass by the window. The figure was still exactly like my mother, but the face was blurry, the eye sockets were dark. The smile was unusually long. It just passed by and disappeared into the darkness, leaving a terrifying silence. That whole night, the entity did not leave immediately. It lingered outside, leaving behind creepy sounds, knocking, footsteps, vague calls. Michael and I sat close together, the candlelight the only thing keeping us from feeling swallowed by the darkness. It was only near dawn when the first rays of sunlight crept through the cracks of the door that all the sounds faded away. No more knocking, no more whispering, just an eerie silence. Michael was tired, but he still looked at me with determination. He said the entity was getting stronger. The fact that it could change its voice and even its appearance proved that it was no ordinary ghost. Perhaps it had haunted the forest for a long time, and now it had chosen me as its target. I was stunned, but a determination flashed in my heart. If I didn't find the truth and a way to stop it, it would continue to torture me until I completely collapsed. The next day, we discussed trying to enter the forest at night, where it often appeared. The thought made me shudder, but I knew I couldn't live in fear forever. I need to know what it really is and why it's imitating my mother's voice. And more importantly, I need to find a way to get rid of this haunting before it's too late. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out what happens as we enter the deep darkness of the forest, where a terrifying secret awaits.